Venerable Ajahn Chaya, Chapter 4, The Fire of Birth. Thus far we've been talking about the ways in which we are burned by the fires of greed, anger, and delusion, and how to extinguish these fires. Now, I'd like us to explore the fire of birth. As the starting point of life, taking birth can also be regarded as a fire. We can classify births in this universe as being of four kinds. 1. For human beings and certain animals, birth began from a mother's womb. 2. For birds and certain other animals, birth began from an egg. 3. For mosquitoes and certain other creatures, birth began from moisture. 4. For angels, hell beings, and ghosts, birth was spontaneous. Let's start by talking about the fiery birth of mankind, whose flame ignited at the very beginning. For 9 or 10 months we were confined in the dark and narrow space of our mother's womb. Just imagine how difficult and unpleasant that must have been. Then, what happened as soon as we exited the womb? We cried. See, birth is immediately followed by crying. Since conception, and throughout a being's entire life, the fire of birth is burning, as mind and matter are constantly arising and disappearing. As it does, we burn with each and every second. In the process, the fires of 40 extinguishing the fires, decay, and death eventually arise as if an inevitable legacy. For this reason, no matter what the state of a being's birth, it must be seen as the fire that it is. So life began with the fire of birth. Do you agree? Fire burns us, even when we fall in love. As a matter of human nature, as we become teenagers, we tend to start falling in love with others. Of course, we often keep these feelings secret in our heart. This, too, is the fire of birth burning us. This is because tears are destined to fall in our future. Why? Having a boyfriend or girlfriend sooner or later always leads to unpleasant feelings, crying, sadness, worry, or some other form of discomfort. All of this discomfort originates from falling in love, which is a product of the fire of birth. Fire burns us as marriage approaches. Once we fall in love, the logical social progression is toward marriage, right? Unfortunately, marriage just causes the fire of birth to burn greater than it had before. Why is that? It's because marriage involves strong and powerful attachment and big responsibility. We typically need to work harder, and as we do, we are constantly at battle with greed, anger, and feelings like jealousy. The fire of birth carries on its work on and on as we age and approach death. Since it's kindling, it will continue to burn as long as there is fuel remaining. As it does, we are also subject to the pain of a spouse being burned by their own fires of birth, decay, and death. We can expect more pain as there arises the fires of attachment, anger, sorrow, lamentation, grief, and despair. And it all began with our getting married, didn't it? Bear in mind that the fire of birth is not only experienced at the very beginning of our life. No, it's also experienced in every moment, as there is the arising of new mind and 41 Venerable Ajahn Chaya matter. This too is birth, and it burns. The lifespan of each arising is less than 1 second. The fire of this birth then gives rise to death. It is unavoidable that all beings will have to surrender their lives to the fire of death. Think of this. If we had not kindled the fire of birth at the very beginning, then we would not have to experience the consequences of being burned. But since we have already taken birth, we have to continue experiencing the burning of the fires of decay and death. Please understand that I am trying to point out objective natural laws. My intention is not to blame or criticize those who get married or feel love for another. I completely understand that it is the nature of 90% of sentient beings to follow the patterns of falling in love. It's worth mentioning, though, that the 10% who don't certainly experience less burning than those who do. Whatever category you want to fall into is your choice. It's up to you, my dear young ladies and gentlemen. You'll hear no objection from me at all. The fire burns us as we start our businesses too. Many of us find work in government agencies or with any number of different companies, right? But let's say we become unsatisfied with that work and decide to start our own business. As we do, the fire of birth begins to burn anew. How's that? As a government worker, we generally do our 8 hours of work each day, then get to go home and stop thinking about it for a while. With the day's duty complete, the mind and body find time to relax. On the other hand, owning our own business involves day and night worry and consideration over how we can be prosperous and successful. 42. Extinguishing the fires. Can you see how the fire of birth began burning us the moment we started the business? 43.